might be my favorite pod of all time. So I'm stoked to meet you, man. Thanks for making time.
I am stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let me give you an intro, and if I butcher it, don't hold it against me. I didn't do my research. I'm just so excited to talk to you. So I'm like a kid. So Thomas, last name, you like to go by Thomas? I've heard some people call you Tomas.
Is perfect.
Okay. Located in Sweden.
Yes.
You're the founder of Tubi, a snowmobile and ski gear company, which I love. A recently forcibly retired member of that team. And immediately following that, you are starting a new community-based business, which is what I call them. I don't know if that's what you call it, but I'm big on the CBB model. I think it's freaking awesome, and that's why I'm so stoked to talk to you. For the snowmobiler, by the snowmobiler, new gear company, going to go wrecking with the world. It's super awesome. I'm proud to say, I'm looking at a screen here. I think I'm an investor. They said they couldn't verify my identity, so I'm going to be an investor. I can't wait to be a part of it. I think it's freaking rad. I think formerly you're in construction. You're passionate about entrepreneurship and living life the right way. So, Thomas, what did I miss? Give me, if I can, let me get to know you, like birth to today. Give me the highlight reel of your life story, and then I have so many other questions, but I want to know who you are first.
Well, I think you covered the most of it. I'm obviously from Sweden, born Swedish, live here, spent a ton of time in the United States and Canada through snowmobiling, going to trade shows, seeing customers, making friends, and just having a good time. I live in a tiny little village in the north. So right now it's out, like I'm 8 hours ahead of you, so it's going to be dark either way, but days are really short where I am. Like we're getting a couple of hours a day at most right now. But it's a pretty cool place, like not much going on here, just a bunch of people living their best life, skiing, snowmobiling, hunting, fishing. That's pretty much what's going on here.
Sweet, man. And so you were you born to a construction? Tell me about your childhood life. Where did entrepreneurialism come from in you, for you?
I mean, I think on my mom's side and my dad's side, most have been, or not most, but there's been a lot of entrepreneurs, I guess, on both sides. And I grew up on an old farm, so there were always things leaking diesel and oil around me. My dad had logging machines, so that was his business. And I kind of grew up around those things. And I just sat with a friend the other night and we talked about him like pursuing an education and getting a good job and how that was like his plan. And I realized I never really had a plan. And I think that came from my only plan was that I wanted to run a business. So I just charged right into it from like right after school and kind of never had a plan B for it.
Was Tubi the first? Was that your first baby, or did you have a few other children before you birthed Tubi?
No, it was actually my first. Tubi, in the beginning, I was making basically snowmobile parts. So I went to school to be a welder, and I started machining like parts for snowmobiles, and then I started a company for that. Wasn't something I made a living out of, but it paid for my snowmobiling. So that was the whole reason behind that company. It was never my dream to start a business in anything that had to do with snowmobiling. That just came from a coincidence, or maybe a desire to pay for my snowmobiling with company money.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean that's awesome. It worked out perfect for me at least. But yeah, so Tubi was basically snowmobile parts in the beginning, and then I started making T-shirts, stickers, just to kind of promote the brand. And then, I mean, it's been so long.
Wait, before you hold on, I'm not going to let you leave yet because I think it's too good. So you went to school to be a welder, and by you guys, because we do we go middle school, high school, well, generally middle school, then 4 years of high school, then 4 years of college. Are you guys similar? And were you in high school studying welding, or that was additional school after high school?
So high school, I'm trying to think. I graduated from welding school when I was 18. Is that high school, maybe?
That would be, yeah, that'd be high school for us. Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
right. Yeah, so finished the equivalent of high school and started working.
And what snowmobile parts were you making? What were you building? And let's, unfortunately, you gotta, and I'm hope one day I'll get good at marketing and we'll put like the era of snowmobile. But what was your first snowmobile? What year is this when Thomas starts making snowmobile parts?
Yeah, so after high school, we have mandatory military training. So I did that, and right after that, I started working in a mechanic shop, and I started to be like as a side business. So I would have been, I guess, 19, 20. So this would be 98, 99.
90.
So
What was the hot sled then? What everybody? What
the
did you
hot
want?
sled, what I wanted back then, I was really into the Lynx sleds back then.
Okay.
Had a So this is long before they ever came to the States or to Canada. So, but I had the 90s, the early 90s Lynx snowmobiles, rode those, had 4 or 5 different ones. Right about this time, I had probably a sled that was called the G type. That was a chassis, like the chassis before the Skidoo. I think it's the Skidoo chassis that is called the CX chassis, which is the chassis before the Rev chassis. So the sled that I had starting when I started Tubi was the last Finnish designed Lynx snowmobile. This is before they started using mostly Skidoo parts to build them.
So do you know when did Skidoo Bombardier? Do you know when they bought them? I don't know that.
It must have been early 90s sometime.
Okay, early 90s.
They were independent for a long, long time. And I think they bought them in the beginning of the 90s, mid 90s sometime.
Okay. But tell me, what parts were you fixing when you were working on sleds?
So back then, my the parts that I was making, I did a ton of different things. Like this is before the backcountry snowmobiling became a thing. So this was mostly race sleds. And but we started using them in the backcountry. So we needed bar risers that were, they weren't really they were hard to find, or there weren't too many brands making them back then. So I started making bar risers. Then I don't know when you started snowmobiling, but the sleds in the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, they had really shitty running boards. Running boards were really slippery. So I designed this running board reinforcement that also added traction. So that was maybe my biggest product. I made thousands of those. But I also made brake levers, all kinds of suspension parts, reinforcements. Yeah, anything that would reinforce the sled really was my thing.
And you said you never did it to be in business. You did it to kind of fuel the passion. Like it wasn't, or was it just I need this, so I'm building this?
I don't think I ever had a vision that it would turn into something I could live off of. Like the snowmobile market in Scandinavia isn't big enough to support. At least it wasn't big enough. I don't know. I don't think it is either today, but it's not big enough to support a company that makes just snowmobile parts. I think you got to access a much larger market to do that. So for me, it was mostly something that I used to, get some cash to pay for snowmobiling and kind of justify owning my snowmobile on my company, which, super beneficial, at least over here. I don't know what it's like over there, really. But here it makes a ton of sense. So that was my whole thing. And then, I probably I can't really remember, but I was probably planning for, expanding the mechanical shop and, buy a laser cutter and, employ people and do the regular welding stuff. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, and I'm going to be that guy. Scandinavia. What countries? What is Scandinavia? If we, for those
Yeah,
of
sorry.
us
No,
ignorant
actually,
Americans.
that's my fault. Like, it's a group of countries, and I don't know. It just became a habit for me to talk about Scandinavia since each country by itself, like small. But we're really talking. If you want to be really picky, we're talking Sweden, Norway, and Sweden and Norway. Maybe Denmark counts as a Scandinavian country. Then you have the Nordics, which is really Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Iceland. So it's wrong of me to talk about this as Scandinavia. But the snowmobile market where I live is pretty much made up by Finland, Sweden, and Norway. So we're talking far up north, basically the same latitude as Alaska. And I think this represents some 10% of the whole sales of snowmobiles. So it's not a huge market, but it's not insignificant either. It's where you're in Alpine, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so snowmobiling is a big thing. It's not a big town, but it's a big deal. And it's the kind of same thing here in the countryside. Like it's a small market, but it's a big deal to everyone that lives up here.
I'm putting it in my I don't know what the book's called, but I would like to come see you now. I was never curious, and now I'm like just talking to you. I'm like I want to go see that part of the world. So all right,
Yeah,
moving
you should.
on. Yeah, I you can take that as a commitment. You're gonna have to tell me where to stay, and
Uh-huh.
I'm not good out of country, so I don't know. I don't know if you wanted to take me around your neighborhood. I'm sure to offend somebody.
I would definitely show you around.
That'd be awesome. We'll return the favor if ever you're down here. You got a place to stay. But all right, so you're building parts. The year is 99, somewhere early 2000s, and then how do we end up making gear? Where does that take me through that journey?
Yeah, so this is the part that I'm not entirely sure of even myself, because there's really nothing in my history or education or even when I was dreaming up a vision of what I wanted to be that suggested that I was getting myself into any kind of fashion. That's for sure. I'm colorblind. I'm not a designer. I can't draw a straight line. I'm definitely not cut out for anything that has to do with fashion and apparel. So how that happened, the way I remember it, the Slednex movies and Two Stroke Cold Smoke and I I should mention Aaron von Hessinger because I know that he beat Slednex with like 2 weeks or something like that. So he was always the first one putting out a sled movie. Is that at least that's what he says? So anyway, those movies back then, 97, 98, or whenever that happened, were hugely influential on me and everybody else that grew up back then. So we saw snowmobiling in a way that we'd never seen it before. Like when I grew up, my big idols were racers. So backcountry snowmobiling, I never seen that before. So that was amazing to see. And I grew up skiing, so I always had that idea that I wanted to dress a little different from other snowmobilers. Like ski gear is much more technical. Or it was much more technical back then and more lightweight and more practical, in my opinion, but it wasn't as durable. So, but I always snowmobiled in my ski gear. So when I started seeing these movies, I started getting this idea that maybe, you could design something or find a brand, someone that would make something that looked much more like the snowboard gear, the ski gear, but would be made for snowmobiling. So I guess that idea kind of lived in my head somewhere in the back of it at least. And someone introduced me to a designer that worked with different. He was like a freelance designer for ski companies. So I had some money to spare from my mechanical shop, and I figured why not take a meeting and see what can come out of it. And he basically planted the idea in my head that if I came back to him, if I figured out how I could, take a design drawing and turn that into an actual product, if I could figure that out, he would help me design a jacket. Or it was a pair of pants, I can't remember. And so I did. I went back home, found the yellow pages. This is pre-internet, not pre-internet, but meaningful internet at least.
Do you have any idea? I'm sorry. Do you have any idea what year this is? Have you been 5 years? Is this like right?
No.
Right
this is this is in the 2000.
Okay.
I think we talked about the first 2V collection coming out in the spring of 2001. So this would have been the year 2000.
Okay, you were not messing around with that fab shop much. It wasn't like that was like a year or two, and then you're doing this pretty quick after. Is that about right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Okay.
when an idea gets stuck in my head, I usually either go with it or forget about it for another idea quickly. But no, this was fun and exciting and like challenging. So I started looking up like different companies that offered production or pattern making and everything I needed to actually make a jacket. So found a factory in Poland, found this lady that made pattern, found another lady that made samples for for gear companies, and all of a sudden I had my little team of people that I could turn this idea into reality. So I went back to the designer and told him, "Hey, got everything we need now, so draw me something that I can build." And that's how it started.
So wait, was there a gap, or you were just like you wanted something different? Who were the main brands at the time where you're like, I don't want to wear that? Was it the North Face era?
I mean, all of those were around, of course, and the ski gear was. It was there. It was technical. It was very functional, but the snowmobile brands at the time. I mean, what was around? There was Rayma, which was purchased by Scott and then basically shut down almost entirely. There were all the OEM brands like the Polaris jackets, the Ski-Doo jackets.
Got it.
And a bunch of like thick insulated. I don't know. I don't think there was much for snowmobile fashion back then. It was mostly just thick and warm.
No, I'm glad I asked because I had thought you initially started with a ski jacket. So you came for snowmobile gear. That's why you wanted it to be different than the ski gear.
Oh yeah. No, I wanted it to be snowmobile gear, all of it. Like I grew up skiing, but got myself into and my family weren't like big snowmobilers by any means. My mom and dad were skiers, so that's how I grew up. So snowmobiling was always something that I pursued myself together with my younger brother. And kind of got ourselves into. So the snowmobile brands that we saw, like the apparel brands that we saw, were just warm and not very cool looking. And we were used to like nicely designed snowboard gear and ski gear, so we wanted it to look like that.
Got it. Okay, that's so cool. That's like crazy. It's crazy to think. So I'm 35. How old would I have been 25 years ago? So I was 10 years old. Is that do you know what era? I was the Arctic Cat kid growing up. Was that the fire? When did I gotta look it up. I won't embarrass myself to this letter community. All right,
the Firecat came later.
07, I think.
So 2001, the hottest thing around was the CX chassis that Ski-Doo had. So that was the MXC 600. They just started making like good twin engines. The first like powerful twin engines had started coming out. Before that, it was like the big triples, and then obviously the Rotax 670, like motors like that. But the first like of a new generation, 2-cylinder, 2-strokes were just coming out. And the chassis, the CX chassis, was used in the MXC and the Lynx sleds at the time. So the Firecat would have been, I guess I'm just wildly guessing now, could have been 2003, so a few years later.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Well, we'll do history of snowmobiles another time. I got to get I. So you find a designer, and I want to make sure you set out to find the designer. You were like, what would it like? You looked for the designer, and you finally found a design. Like, was it a one call wonder where this was like, if you find a factory, I'll support you, or what? Like, how did that?
Yeah, no, the guy that I was introduced to was the guy that I kept working with for the next, I think, 7 or 8 years.
Okay. Everybody's got their struggle in entrepreneurialism, and I'm sure there's many, but I don't want to skip like the first one. So, like, from the moment you said, "Hey, I'm going to make snowmobile gear," to meeting that person that is like willing to take a flyer on you, because I'm assuming that was pretty unique. That he said, "Yeah, sure. If you can build it, I'll design it with you." Did you have to like talk to hundreds of people, or did you kind of fall into that and it was just serendipitous?
So I live about 2 hours away from, an okay sized ski resort. And that ski resort, the ski village, kind of originated a bunch of clothing brands over the years. And as the brands grow bigger, like the original people kind of dropped off and started their own businesses. So it developed into this little network of independent designers, pattern makers, people that knew how to produce and make these things. And so just being introduced to this designer guy and then starting asking around, that kind of opened up an entire network of people that I could utilize and build my own little network of. So it wasn't actually too hard for me to find the people that I needed. Then obviously over the years, like everyone's been replaced or coming and going. We moved production between 4 or 5 different countries. We had to change material, so it's always like this evolving process. But from the idea to making those first pair of pants, yeah, that was mostly the people that I first started talking to.
Got it. All right, take me through the highlight reel from so first line. Your first line is 2001, spring of 2001. We got a snowmobile like an out. I'm gonna dig in. I want to know like were you the first to market that wasn't an OEM? Because I remember like I had my Arctic My Arctic Jag
No,
was the coolest thing.
yeah, we weren't the first. I think Climb started around the same time, maybe 1 or 2 years earlier.
Okay.
FXR had been around for a few years, so we were definitely not the first ones. And honestly, I'm not even sure that I knew that much about any other brand. I didn't look much
Yeah.
at it.
Yeah.
I was kind of stuck in my own idea to make something that looked more like the ski gear. So, and what everybody else were making at the time, at least how I remember it, was mostly like thick and insulated and very warm, and yeah, just everything that I didn't want.
So tell me when you got your first big break. So I'm assuming pain and suffering, at least through the early 2000s and maybe all the way till the end. But take me from spring launch to getting forced out of your company by a bunch of white collar jagoffs, and if I can say it
Oh,
that way.
that is so 25 years of events.
Yeah,
But
give me the big ones. Give me the big
the big
ones.
ones, yeah. Well, we can break it up a little bit. So the first couple of years, again, we were kind of, at least how we looked at ourselves, like mavericks in the sledding industry. We were teenagers and practically teenagers at least. And backcountry snowmobiling was just kind of shaping, and it was the old sledding movies. I don't know if you seen many of them, but it was mostly like, not mostly, but it was like a lot of trashing bars and drinking beer and just acting out everything that you could see in like skateboard movies and early ski movies. So it was like this whole movie thing that looked very similar in all kinds of sports.
I wasn't a
So
big
in
movie
the
guy. So you got Sled Knacks. What are all the movies at the time?
I think the relevant, no, I shouldn't say that. The big ones were Slednex and Two Stroke Cold Smoke. And
Okay.
then I made good friends with people from Idaho that made a movie called Alticity. And that turned into an important friendship. These guys went on to be my business partners in the United States, and they also started Motorfest a few years later. But when we bumped into each other, I think that was in 2003, they made a movie called Alticity, and they've been making that for a few years then. So there were a lot of sled movies back then. I can't remember all of them, but the important ones were Sled Next and Too Short Cold Smoke.
All right. So
So
you're Mavericks. Yeah. Take me through.
yeah, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. So yeah, like very snowboard-ish kind of design. And I think my first mistake was to look at design gear that was only for myself and my friends. And the sledding scene over here was really young back then. I didn't know anyone over 25 that rode snowmobiles like outside a racetrack or outside a trail. So for us, it was only natural that it would be a very young type of brand. So when I eventually took it over to the United States in 2004, I think my mistake was to assume that the market would be equally young as I was used to from back home. Uh, I think Climb, that started around the same time, they had a much different approach to everything. they 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 were going after a much more mature market, a mature customer that also paid better money for their products. And I didn't realize that until much later. So that was my first mistake. We kept like the underdog, kind of young snowboarders style for a long time. And I think that scared away a lot of customers in the beginning. But it started to change in probably in 2007. So the designer that I worked with still then, I think he suggested that we would make a one-piece suit just for, I wanted something that would, be a little, I don't know, breaking the rules a little bit, look a little different, maybe, create basically a no sayer, like something that people would talk about but not buy. So we took basically the original thick and heavy snowmobile one-piece suits that I saw everyone wearing as I grew up, that what my dad was wearing. And we redesigned it completely, turned it into this technical piece with, waterproof, seam sealed, and made it look cool. And introduced it as the ultimate backcountry piece, like keeping the snow out. And I just assumed that it would be, a little fun little experiment.
And everybody
But
wanted one, didn't they? I already
yeah,
know.
we sold out
Yeah.
immediately, and I didn't know what happened. I couldn't understand it. So we made
Uh,
more of them, and that sold out as well. And this is right when I started to realize that we might be onto something here. So that was 2007, 2008.
so you should have trademarked the monosuit somehow, so that you would have. You
Uh,
should. I don't even know if you could do that, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not
so
like
did
we originated it in any way, but we kind of reinvented it. Is what I'm
did
calling
yeah?
it.
Would you be the? So would you take responsibility for bringing it back? Like the mono came back. Like would that be pretty much a to be? I know you're humble, but you guys you guys brought it back out of the depths, eh?
I would maybe yeah we did.
Yeah. Uh, I'm gonna. That's a story I'm gonna tell anyway. I don't care who's. I don't care.
Yeah, no,
That's my
we
version.
always, not always, but I guess we always talked about it as something that we created, as something we brought back and reinvented. Is how we put it. And it took a few years. I think HMK were the next brand that made them. Because obviously I kept track of who else that started making them. So HMK. After that, I think it was FXR, and after FXR, a bunch of brands were making them.
Got it. So take me from what else? What else are the key moments? I don't 2007. So you're selling like hotcakes. Don't let me take you anywhere you don't want to go, but I'm very interested for when these, and I'm just gonna call, I don't want to call them evildoers, but big business. We'll call them the BBs. The BBs come in, and how did they get involved? Or to walk me through. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So you sold out in 2007. So a lot of people that don't aren't entrepreneurs don't understand that that doesn't mean that you're making a bunch of money. So is there a season where you are making a bunch of money, or was it always reinvested and struggle? So if you don't mind, just take us through that journey.
I mean, 2B was a small company. I still had my mechanical shop on the side supporting us in the summertime. And it was kind of one of those businesses that, one day I was in the shop, the next day I was designing jackets. So like really confusing days sometimes. But financially, it made a lot of sense. Then I think it was in 2008, like right around the financial crisis, I decided to commit to it, and I got rid of the mechanical shop. And that timing wasn't the greatest, obviously, but struggled a lot for a few years, and but when the suits started picking up speed, I also realized something. I realized that we needed to change the brand. Like it couldn't be a brand for like 19-year-old snowboarders that got themselves into snowmobiling. Like it had to mature and turn into something else. And also backcountry snowmobiling had become a thing in a much different way. And the monosuits were obviously, or the reason why the monosuits became popular were obviously the long track snowmobiles and the backcountry riding that people were starting doing. So I wanted to make something more technical, and I had the realization that my market is a little more mature, or at least demanding. So we needed products that weren't just looking good, they had to perform. And we couldn't continue working with unknown materials, fabrics that we, sourced from whatever factory we were working with at the time, not knowing how they performed and how waterproof or how little waterproof they were. So kind of reinvented ourselves between 2010 and 2013, like changing out most people that we worked with, changed the design, changed the way. And the most important part was actually everything that went in, like the supply chain, securing the supply chain, making sure that we could hold each supplier accountable for what they delivered, making sure that everything was lined up and to produce a professional piece of garment that would be high quality, like every year, not just by accident one year and then turn to shit the next year. So securing the supply chain, and I spent a lot of time traveling around Asia, understanding factories, sitting at factories, talking to people that knew how to produce quality garments, talking to fabric suppliers, and just understanding what it would require to build a quality piece of apparel. So all of this kind of came together in 2014. Actually, 2014, when we introduced our new 2015 collection. We called it the 2B 2.0. So this was something very much different from what we've built in the past. It was high-end fabrics, manufactured in high-end factories, everything, tested in laboratories. Like we knew when we pulled something off the assembly line that it would perform on the highest possible level. And we knew that we could repeat it next year and the year after. Like we set everything up exactly the way we needed it. But this is also, and business had started picking up speed, but I wasn't making a ton of money. And I don't come from a lot of money either. So my challenge then turned into, how do I finance production? The bank wouldn't borrow me enough money to manufacture everything that people wanted to buy. So that was the success was also my kind of killed me at the same time. Like I couldn't afford producing everything that people wanted. So I eventually turned to try to find investors to back me. And in the beginning, it wasn't actually a bad situation. I started working with. I brought in an investment fund that was supported by the government to support small and expanding businesses. So they weren't like scary private equity people. They were just investors that wanted me to grow. So in the beginning, the first couple of years, it was actually a pretty good setup where I gave up a little bit of the company in return for enough money so that we could have a better looking balance sheet and basically work with banks to support a credit line to produce our products. But it changed a few years later, and that's eventually what turned into the situation that I found myself in the spring of 2025.
Do you mind if we talk about it publicly, or you don't like to?
Yeah, no, we can talk about it, no problem. What happened was that, I mean, we weren't making a lot of money, but we were actually losing money quite a few years, but we were investing money at the same time. So, but the margins were thin. Like, this is not the type of industry where you automatically make a ton of money. Like, the volumes are fairly small. So you need something like making just snowmobile jackets is really difficult, makes your life really difficult. Like you don't have a second season, and the products are produced in small numbers, and the prices are high, and the market is limited. So it's kind of challenging business to get yourself into. But anyway, we were investing heavily to grow the company as fast as we could, and then eventually try to sell it off. And this is what my new investors told me would be the best way forward. And
Thomas, sorry,
I,
So I want to make sure, because if I don't ask, I'm assuming somebody will ask, and I don't want to. So in 2015, so the government, very small, we sub 10%. They come in and they give you some working capital. It's a safe and it's a favorable. Like, you enjoy that relationship, that helps you grow, and then enter. Are we now 5 years, 3 years later, somewhere around when this
it
new
happened gradually over over the next 5, 6, 7 years, where we thought we saw an opportunity to grow and scale and grow the company and make the money back when we eventually would be able to sell it.
with outside?
And
So sorry, it might be me, but so this investor group, the originals, were pushing you
yeah,
this way. So that's we're looking, and then they shift to telling, are they the original investors, the one that are saying, Thomas, we need to flip this, we need to try to sell it, build it and sell it? Or is that a new investor pool that's doing that?
yeah. So what happened was that the government-backed investment fund that I first started working with, they had they were supposed to exit out of their investments by a certain date and be shut down. So the idea was that their investments would be handed over to private equity over time. So that was built into their whole like strategy.
Do you
So
mind
when
me
they were
asking what percentage? Sorry, man. Sorry. It's
yeah, no
important.
worries.
I think it's really important because, like, so many people don't understand this space, right? Like, where do you go to get a private equity education?
Yeah.
You
No,
gotta
I
get
gave
smacked in
up.
the face. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I gave up 20% or 25% of the company or something like that in the beginning. So
Okay.
I had a super majority for the first couple of years. And we had a lot of troubles and expensive investments that needed to be made in order to start growing. We we being based out of Sweden but starting up a business in the United States cost a lot of money. You need employees and etc. etc. So a lot of big investments, and this is right when we started talking about how, what is the what is the exit strategy here? Like for me, I guess I would have preferred to own the company forever because it was my baby. But at the same time, I had investors, and once you let investors into your company, you're not in you're not in control of these things anymore. And I think what I didn't understand, I guess I always had the vision that I would be able to buy back the company and own it myself someday. It's not how it works usually. So gradually, when we needed more money for bigger investments, and I was not talked into it. I mean, I agreed to it. I'm not going to blame anyone else. But it felt like the best outcome of everything was to kind of grow the company to some sort of point and then be able to sell it. At the time, there were a couple of good examples. Climb had just been purchased by Climb. Uh, sorry, by
Polaris.
Polaris.
Yep.
Polaris bought 509. Articat bought Motorfist. So I don't know. We looked at all these transactions and like, well, that'd be nice to make that kind of an exit. So we felt like we needed to grow the company to a certain size and at the same time build it out so that it was something, a functional company that we could actually sell to someone someday.
And
So
I want to just take a deliberate pause here. So the year is somewhere around 2018, 2020, and this is the strategy
yeah,
going forward. And
right.
is it new investors, or it's the same originals that are now trying to get out, but we haven't created
This
enough value.
is uh, this is now going to be the private equity investors that took over the investments from
Okay.
my original investor.
And you're going to find this with me. You can just always say I'm not comfortable, but I'm like I want to
Oh,
know. So
that's
is
okay. No, no.
the original deal was good. It was good. It gave you growth capital, 25%. Did they get more over time as you needed more investment? Was their standing? I'm just wanting to watch your control.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
wanting to watch
absolutely.
your control go out the window, just so everybody can understand it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as I had the super majority of the company, I obviously called the shots. And but what happened over time? We needed to make some bigger investments. We needed to cover losses, and we had this long-term plan of scaling the company and eventually sell it. So gradually I lost a few percentages, and all of a sudden I didn't have the majority in the company anymore. And after that, it's downhill basically. But again, I'm not gonna try to blame anyone else. I believed in the idea of selling the company, and at this point it was my baby, but I didn't have the majority, so I had obviously given up on the idea of being able to buy back the company. So the best possible outcome for me would be to scale and sell and make an exit and do something fun with the money.
And so are we around 2020 as you lose your majority control, or when do you finally?
It would have been around I don't know, somewhere between 18 and 20, I guess.
Okay. All right. Carry on. Take me through
So
the journey.
yeah, so
Sorry.
then COVID comes around, and that that was an exciting time to be in the snowmobile industry. Same way as I'm sure it was for anyone in any kind of outdoor industry. Like we could not keep up with the demand. Like no matter how much we produced, we could have sold twice as much. And for some reason, the outdoor industry collectively decided that this is the new normal. Like life is not going to go back to anything resembling what it used to be. So people are just going to keep buying like crazy. So everyone kept producing and kept ordering more and more and more. And as soon as the COVID situation kind of normalized and people went back to work and went back to going to football games and restaurants and hanging out with friends, like the market was back to normal again. And in the meantime, everybody, and I really mean everyone from tent makers to mountain bike makers to well, snowmobile jacket manufacturers, everyone kept producing like there was nothing had changed from the past couple of years. So the whole industry found itself with this ridiculous inventory pile that needed to be dealt with. And this is what everyone's been enjoying the past few years now, that everything is always on constant sale. Like 50%, it's not even a sale anymore, like 70%, 80% discounts. And and the only reason why that has existed is because of that incredible amount of inventory that we and everyone else purchased during those years and then never really sold. It was still sitting in the stores by the time the whole COVID thing was over. So Tubi, along with everyone else, found themselves in the same situation. There is no way of getting out of this without losing a lot of money. Like, you're buying something at full price, you're manufacturing something full cost, plus paying like. So this was at the same time as shipping prices went up, and we would pay normally $3,000 for a 20-foot container from whatever corner of the planet to the other corner of the planet. All of a sudden, that same container was anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000. So costs were skyrocketing, but and this built up again this pile of inventory, and it, attached to it was all these expensive production costs, which were also increased during these years because why not? The factory is trying to make some extra cash as well. Import duties, shipping. Like, there was so much money locked into this inventory, and everything would have to go on sale immediately. You would unload a container and then immediately lose 50% on what you just sold, on what you just unpacked. You would sell below production cost. And that was the reality for everyone, most companies at least. So Tubi was in bad shape, like really bad shape. And this is when I lost my last piece of ownership, basically. So a lot of bad decisions. Uh, I was definitely a part of a lot of them, so can't really blame anyone else. But ultimately, our investors decided, well, hey, we don't really need a founder in this anymore. We can do this by ourselves. So the easy way out for them was to basically kick me out, which they could do at the time.
And that was 2025. So 2020, COVID, probably 2021, post-COVID, we see a plummet in profits that is industry-wide, and then that's the point with which your control goes out the window. And then you guys, I'm assuming it's a tense relationship from 2021, 2, 3, 4 until 5. Finally, they kind of push you out the door, right?
Yeah, well, during the COVID years, when our numbers doubled every year, it was a good time for everyone, and the valuation of outdoor companies were through the roof. So I guess we really, really believed that we were close to be able to sell the company during these years. So I think that had a lot to do with it as well. Once the realization struck us that what we worked for the past 3 years is not going to happen, I think that accelerated the idea that someone like me was probably more of a burden than an asset for the brand anymore. So that's how it happened.
Would you mind, and you don't have to do it on public, but is it a one private equity group, or is there several? Or
At this point, it was one equity group.
are they still owning it, or did they already transfer hands?
No, they're still owning it. So
Do you mind me? I want to look them up. You can text me if you don't want to say it online either. but I would,
Yeah,
and I,
I don't think it. Yeah, I can share it with you, but I don't think it makes any sense for anyone to. You won't find much of them. Like it's not
I'm
the kind
curious.
of
Well,
company that.
yeah, well, I'm curious what they would do if I invited them to come talk, because there's two sides, right? I would be curious, like, well, I mean,
Yeah,
and I guess
I'd
so.
I'd be curious.
Well, text me their name, and I'll let you and our audience know if they have any. I'm sure I can find them. I'm sure I can find who owns Tubi. But so when you walk away, right? It's. I mean, I appreciate you taking accountability. It's like nobody forced you to make these decisions, but you had to do. I think what I hear is that it was a survival mode, right? At every bad intersection, you got to go somewhere to money to survive, and then all of a sudden your company isn't what it used to be. Do you hope that they fail, or do you like what do you want to see happen with them right now?
It's not for me to. I feel really sad about losing the rights to my name because, well, Tubi is my first name and my last name, so that's still. I feel really sad about that. Uh, I feel I have very mixed feelings about seeing my company and seeing what they're doing to it, and yeah, no, I don't want anyone to fail, but yeah, I'm not sure what to say.
Sorry, it's a hard
It's
question.
hard.
I yeah
Yeah,
no,
no worries.
I don't mean to make satire about it at all, but I
Yeah,
think it's interesting. I think it's more interesting because I could see myself on either way. It's like still my name, right? So my name would be
yeah.
on it. So like I would rather get kicked out and see it successful. But obviously,
It depends on what they do with it. Like the reason why they didn't need me anymore was because I was always a snowmobiler. I was the one that wanted to make better products, and that would, if we could make them even more waterproof, if we can make them even more durable, that's what I wanted to do. Quality was important to me because I lived through the years when my first jackets, I never knew if an arm was going to come off or not, and I worked so hard to achieve that level of performance that we eventually achieved. So that was important to me. So what they decide to do with the company now, that's what troubles me the most. If they're gonna try to go after some cheaper products, maybe. I don't know. That was kind of what the arguments were about. And that would be really sad because if anything, I don't want my name and the Tui name to be, how to say that, dragged in the
yeah,
dirt.
drag through the mud. Yeah. Well, let's take
Dragged through
it.
the mud. I mean, we kind of reached the end of the story from my perspective with Tubi. It's been an amazing time. I learned so much. Uh, Whatever happens next is up to them. I feel really sad about losing my company and my that first baby. That's for sure. But that this whole experience, like the 25 years in this industry, I feel like it taught me so much valuable. And when uh, when this all happened and people started, showing so much support, and we eventually decided to turn that into a new brand. That Yeah, that's a new chapter in my life, and trying to trying to use everything that we learned and trying to not repeat mistakes. I think, yeah, what happens now is what's going on now is just so exciting and so much new. And
Let's talk about it. Let's get into Mountain Grit. Introduce. I really wanted you. I was definitely a fanboy. I was like, I was watching all the videos with the. I don't know what that equipment is that you were using to put the whatever. I was like waiting for the name. I really wanted it to be 2B2. I was like, please be 2B2. I'm sure there, but so Mountain Grit, which is, and I'm gonna bait you a little bit. I have high and large aspirations. Like I don't think Carhartt meets the mark. I don't think like construction lifestyle doesn't exist to me. Like as Travis Matthews is to golf. Like I really want to breathe into existence tradesmen. So maybe that won't be tradesmen. Maybe that'll be Mountain Grit, or maybe it's tradesmen by Mountain Grit, depending on how close or how far you want to run away from me. But so my understanding so far, and I just want to kind of tease it out, and then you say whatever I miss here, is community-based business. You're kind of you're crowdfunding a fundraise, which is super cool from the community. I think it starts with the snowmobile, and then you've diagnosed that the mid seasons is an issue, so you're going to be going into construction work and apparel. So that's awesome. Tell us all about it, and particularly like you're moving fast, right? Spring of 2025 out, and now we are fall of 2025, new dawn, right? So just walk us whatever you want to tell the world.
Yeah.
Here's your mouthpiece.
Well, as I started with saying, like the everything that happened during the spring was just devastating. But then found a lot of energy and inspiration in the support that I received, and I had a bunch of like a couple of really key players from 2B that decided that they were done with it and left together with me. So we sat down and started talking about our experiences and kind of where things went wrong and what we actually did that was right. And eventually that formed into an idea that we can do this again. We have to do things a little differently. We're definitely building the company with a different vision. Uh, we uh, we talked about the things that really went wrong, the whole like investor thing with an exit strategy, and it was all about growing fast and scaling and selling, and how that killed the company from within. So we decided to set up Mountain Grit. We haven't named it Mountain Grit at the time, but we based the companies basically on a couple of key components. I don't know if you've seen my video where I talk about
Your
cornerstones and
4 pillars. Yep.
yeah, the 4 pillars. And this this is like actually really the foundation of this company. And what I didn't have a better way of expressing it, but I think the foundation and the cornerstones actually makes a ton of sense. Like if anyone is watching me and watching this and have no idea what I'm talking about, we made a video where I was trying to explain like the vision with Mountain Grit and how we're building this from the ground and up this time. So one of the things that you already mentioned, we need a summer business, something that keeps the light on during the rest of the year. Like we're super passionate about snowmobile gear, but at the same time we recognize that you can't really make a living out of that. It's that market is too. It's not enough. It's not big enough. Plus, you have a bad winter, you need something to fall back on. I'm not passionate about motorcycles or anything like that, and I don't know enough about it, so I don't feel like I'm not the guy that should be making motorcycle gear. But I do know a lot about workwear, and I do know a lot about materials and where to find, or we have a lot of ideas about how to improve workwear. So after talking a lot about it, that made a lot of sense. That would be our counter season product. Plus, we also recognize that this is a blue collar community. Like a lot of us have the similar background. Uh, Most snowmobilers that I met, even if they're not like actual blue collar workers, they have some sort of a connection to it. Like they're plumbers, carpenters, oil field workers, truck drivers. Most of us have some sort of a background where that would make the workwear connection from like the bridging, creating a natural bridge from snowmobiling into workwear. So that was our product. That turned into our product philosophy. We want to continue with the sled gear because we love the sport and we love making high performing quality garments, but we need something else that can, generate money for the company and to make it profitable. So that was going to be the workwear. Second thing, we talked about like how do we avoid getting dragged into this this vicious you say vicious circle?
Vicious
Is that the
cycle.
vicious
Yeah.
cycle, right? Where you're always on sale. This is what kills companies. Like, you need to keep your profit margin. Uh, Otherwise, there's no point in running a business. So, and I think this is actually, it works in the favor of the consumer as well. If your company is profitable, if the company that you're buying your product from is profitable, you can invest into better products, and you can avoid watering down things like quality and performance. And this is, I believe, is important to our customers. As a consumer, what I really hate is buying my power tools or my hunting gear, whatever it is, only to realize that I'm paying the same price, but I'm getting less performance out of it. I'd rather pay my premium price and receive what has been promised to me. So I think we want to be fair. We want to be honest with our products. We want to make our products the best we possibly can, and we don't want to dilute them. So in order to do that, we have to create a relationship between us and our customers that allow us to charge the money that we have to charge in order to stay in business and continue delivering everything we promise our customers. So that relationship, I believe, is formed through a long term delivering on your promises. Like, quality gear is always quality gear, so we're not messing around with that. The other thing we started talking about is, how can we build a company that gives back to the community? When we started Tubi, we sponsored athletes, we sponsored snowcross racers, we bought ads in magazines that were run by other snowmobilers. Like, our marketing money always went back to the industry. Now, most of our marketing money just goes straight into the pockets of Google and Meta. So it doesn't land anywhere near other snowmobilers. So talking about that kind of led us into the idea that, well, we actually could do a lot more with our marketing money. There is so much more we could do that could support our community instead of just giving it away to someone who has nothing to do with it. So we formed this idea of paid forward. So that is our marketing strategy. We basically are here to support people in our community, and this could be different things. It could be young entrepreneurs trying to start their own business. It could be snowmobile clubs. It could be avalanche instructors, people that are doing something good for the community. That's where we want to put our marketing money and create organic stories about people that are working for us and for other people, and just create something positive with the marketing money instead. So that's our paid forward strategy. Then it's the community ownership. What eventually killed Tubi was, unfortunately, greed. We In the end, we did it. We only did it for the money, and there was no passion in it anymore. And how can we protect the company from changing? So we started talking about crowdfunding and how that would be a good way for us to finance the company with the help of other fellow snowmobilers and blue collar people that would appreciate the quality and the things we wanted to do with our marketing money. And if we invited the community to own a piece of the company together with us, how that would allow us to protect the company from being changed by private equity that didn't share the vision or couldn't understand the vision. We created the strategy with the four cornerstone based on the to summarize everything that I just said. A long-term relationship with our customers in the form of quality, and by paying it forward to our customers, supporting the community, inviting the customers to own a piece of the company together with us. And the fourth cornerstone is basically what we call what we call our ecosystem. By doing all these three things and keep repeating it, it's going to create that loyalty from our customers that allows us to continue making good products, give back to the community, and make money for our investors in the company. So we now have four cornerstones that are working together to create a cycle that we call our ecosystem. And yeah, that's the foundation of Mountain Grit.
So I hope you'll come back and visit with me. So my ask of you has been the same, and I wrote you a letter. So just a little bit, like I've been watching the whole thing go, and I'm like, yep, yep. I happen to have a certain, I'm not going to say disdain, but dissatisfaction with private equity. I think they're a bunch of fucking jokers. Generally, not all of them are the same, but I think
No.
they're bad for ecosystems, bad for life, bad for humans, generally speaking. So there, I said it online. I haven't said it yet out loud, but so I was like watching and I was excited, and I was like watching, and then when you said you're doing community, I'm like, man, I got to get to this guy because I've been modeling like instead of a Wall Street based business, community based business, and I think the whole world would look better if everything revolved around the community with which it serves. So, my ask to you, if I can sit as a chair or contribute or participate, because I had three communities. I am a moto guy, motocross, snowmobile, and construction. I want to do it in three spaces, and I think a well sponsored, well supported community is essential. It's like kind of re-envisioning what the association is, and I think I would love to talk to you more about our industry. I really don't want to expedite, but the thing, I have so many questions for you. So that's my like closing remark in case I don't get the chance to say it before we have to hang up abruptly. It's like I just would like to participate if I could be the community chair. And I have a lot to learn from you on the fashion side. I think it's crazy that people wear shirts and they don't know where they were made. Like I have a bunch of things I'd love to learn from you. I do think I have some talents that maybe you could leverage. But so all that to say is, Thomas, please come back. But before I let you go, you're a hunter. How come not hunting? How come construction? Like I was just, how long did you play with the other ideas that you could do in the off season?
We thought a lot about workwear for a long time. So I think in our mind we were very far ahead, far into that project. But one of the things we and I don't think I said anything about this before, but another thing that we talked a lot about in the beginning of setting this up was how, instead of pursuing like a specific sport and build our identity around that specific sport, we decided to look at our community and the kind of customers, the kind of people that we work with. And the snowmobile community, I think, is made up by a pretty distinct group of people, even if we are shattered around the world. But I look at my neighbors outside in this village, and I think about the people that I meet in Canada, and I think about the people I meet in the States. We're snowmobilers, and a lot of us are hunters, a lot of us are blue collar workers. It is this like rural community of people that we want to work with. So, with that said, the snowmobiling comes natural because that's what we've done. That's our first customers. The workwear makes a ton of sense because a lot of us have that blue collar connection. But a lot of us are also hunters and fishers and mountain bikers. So, I guess our what we said about our customer when we describe our customers, we really talk about this group of people that are, a little bit of everything. So hunting gear is definitely not ruled out. It's actually, definitely on the radar. So we are just going to be doing things that make sense for the people in our community. Right now, we're starting with snowmobile gear and workwear, but that's I'm pretty sure eventually going to turn into something with hunting. That would make sense.
I can't like blow my load here because I like want to be able to talk to clients someday because they won't. So I wouldn't have. I'm going to say it this way. I would not have great things to say about the big businesses that are consolidating our industry for selfish gain. I'm not going to pick on anybody. One day I'll talk to them, but for those of us that are eager for a different, right? I'm doing this very intentionally, Thomas. For those of us that want to wear a shirt that says like, I'm a proud snowmobiler, and this brand is something that I believe in. I just want a T-shirt. Like, there isn't that for me right now. Even in the moto game, there's really not a motocross company that I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to eat my words. I think Fly Racing is doing a great job on the gear side, but like, there's no lifestyle brand. So when can I get my hands on some Mountain Grit tees?
Yeah.
And when do I get my founder's cap? I know I got to get my money in first, but like, what's the
the
horizon?
founder the founder hats are finished right now, so we haven't we haven't received them yet, but as soon as we do, we're going to send them out. And well, you're an investor, so what happens when you invest in Mountain Grid? A couple of things happens. First of all, why would you invest in Mountain Grid? First off, the biggest reason is you're part of protecting a company that is designed to do good things for the community. You're part of protecting it from private equity. What are we going to use the money for? It's not going to go from my salary, that's for sure. Like, what we're using the money for now is to build working capital in the company that would allow us to finance orders. That is why we need this investment, not to pay the daily stuff in the company. So when you invest in Mountain Grit, you're getting your name on a founder's wall, which is a physical wall on a barn outside my window here. So I'm seeing everyone's name like every day. You're also getting that founder's hat that you talked about. What we've been doing so far since we started about 6 months ago, we've been fast tracking design and sample the whole sampling process. So we are now about 6 weeks away from receiving the sample collection of the Mountain Grit snowmobile line. So we're going to hit the road and start seeing customers. We're also going to offer our investors to be able to pre-book their gear for next year, as well as how do you say regular consumers. So we're going to be accepting pre-orders from customers for delivery next fall. In the meantime, we're finishing everything on the workwear collection. So the first pieces of the workwear collection is going to start being available during the summer, sometime during the fall. Like, that timeline isn't set in stone quite yet, but we're getting pretty close to actually have products to show, which is remarkable given how much time this usually takes.
Dude, that's so cool. You have to come back. You have to come back because I want to talk about,
I'll come back and talk about the line when we
yeah.
get it. I could
Okay. I don't know
be
if I can
super
wait that long
excited
because
to share.
I have so many questions because there are work, true work. There's all these other companies, so I want to see how you niche in. But I think this would be best for you. Let's pretend that I am somebody or I know somebody that's like, I just believe in Thomas. I believe in what he's doing, and I can write the check, right? I can write the check, and I'm gonna write the check knowing um, that all of his four pillars are most important, and I'm writing this check not to take the company or to own it or to make money later, but I'm not doing that until I have assurance that Thomas is not going to fall into the same trap. So is there? And when I say that for this fictitious person, by the way, I suspect I could help you find this person. But what is the what is the difference where Thomas knows he's not going to get in trouble, or do you, or what are you worried about? What is the exposure to any of us that invested in you to say, like, why wouldn't this work? Assuming, because this is what I'm going to be very comfortable to assume, the community is going to rally alongside you. We're loyal to a fault. A lot of people buy snowmobiles that break all the time and just stay allegiant to that brand for whatever reason, right? So like, we're going to be loyal to you. I don't think you're going to lose the marketing game. What's my exposure as an investor that's ready to just give you all the funding that you need to make this a little easier? Not that you would even take it. I'm understanding that you might not take it, but hypothetically.
Yeah, what could go wrong, or what have we learned? I think what we learned is to again build this from the ground and up, which is what we're doing right now with the crowdfunding and the shared ownership with our community. And we're basically growing slower, or growing in the pace that in a pace that makes sense. As an investor, well, we have to be honest and point out that any startup investment is going to be risky. So I have to say this, and I want to say that because that's important to me that people understand that. But again, what we're using the money for is to create working capital to make finance orders and purchasing. By what we learned is we want to try to stop guessing as much. We are trying to incorporate ourselves into our community, which means that we are going to be able to develop products and manufacture products with much higher precision, meaning we don't buy excess inventory that is going to be turned into risky, expensive inventory when we can't sell it. And again, by creating that mutual benefit between us and our customer, we hope that we can create a kind of loyalty between us that allow us to continue making quality products and have customers come back, not because we have a 50% sale or a 70% sale because we made bad decisions, but because they appreciate the quality and the performance of our products, and because they believe in what we do with our marketing and our products. But where the risk is, again, it's hard to predict the industry itself. But I feel like we've learned so much about where we can go wrong. We learned that it is important to maintain passion in a company, a brand like this. We got to have passionate people and passionate customers and do the things we believe in, the things that feels right, and not just be chasing something that may not happen. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Thomas, I've run the conversation. Normally, I really let you run the conversation. In the last 5 minutes, is there anything that we didn't get to that you want to get to? Any closing words that you'd like to speak to anybody? Is there anything I missed? I've got like 6 topics, so if you can come back, I want to talk about a bunch of other stuff with you, but
Yeah.
I want to be respectful of your time.
I mean, if anything of what I said here today, what we talked about makes sense, and if you want to own a piece of Mountain Grid and be a part of the development and everything we're trying to build together here, you can start on our website, watch the videos, and continue. If you find that interesting, continue to the investment page, and yeah, you can sign up and become a part of this. And we're not looking for big investors. We're looking for the little guy that invests because he believes in something. We're accepting investments from $500 and upwards, but honestly, I prefer small investors over big investors. So I want the snowmobilers to be a part of this, not big private equity.
Well, there's big snowmobilers too. You got to remember, there's some money in our sport. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So how many? Do you mind talking about the composition as it stands today? Can we talk with numbers? I think you guys have raised 200,000.
Yeah, we have a goal of $500,000, and so far we have closed about 200,000. We have, and that translates into 230 investors, which is absolutely amazing. We have 230 people that decided to invest their savings into our idea and our vision, and that means a lot to me. I have a lot of respect for that. This is people's real money. This is savings from regular snowmobilers. We have an additional 480,000 in investments that have been started but haven't been closed. So I'm fairly sure that we are going to be able to reach the $500,000 goal sometime in February, I'm hoping. When we launched the brand,
that's so cool.
we had, no, it is absolutely amazing. When we launched the brand, within a couple of days, we had over 1,500 people signing up to, learn more about what this meant, what we were gonna do with the company, and to possibly become investors. And yeah, it just feels amazing that we've been able to speak to so many people.
I want to run a social experiment. I think non-snowmobilers would get behind what you're doing. I would love to see if I could trick somebody that isn't into the sport to invest in the idea because it's just so pure, man. Well, look, Thomas, thanks for coming. I mean it when I say it. Like, I would really love to talk about. I think you're getting towards this, like just-in-time merchandise. I think that's something I've been like really curious about. I want to talk about historic revenues, and I think all of us think that the manufacturers are these big companies, and it's just not true, right? We all think that they're as big as Polaris and Arncad and Skidoo, and that's not the case. And I'd love to talk about the workwear environment with you, and I really would love to talk about if and how I could contribute to the community. It's a big thing for me, and I think two heads are better than one. So I'm inviting myself to your dance. I've been telling you that since I first talked to you. I'm a little bit of an invasive guy that way, but I have a
That's
deep
okay.
passion for the sport, and I want to contribute, and I really do. I freaking love what you're up to. I think it's a great rebound, and it'll be a great story, one way or the other. But I think it's going to be a victory lap for you.
Yeah, I mean, let's do this again. We can let's talk about the marketing and the community and the workwear, and eventually I'll have the snowmobile line ready to show and go over together with you.
That would be sick. When and you said it, but I didn't catch it. Or do you think you guys are prototyping? Like snow gear will be in our hands or somebody's hands this year to try, or not? It'll be next year.
Yeah, we have a couple of pieces that we have for testing that will be showing up towards the end of February. And then we're evaluating and testing a few things. Like we're mostly working with suppliers that are well known to us. So we feel pretty confident about the components that goes into everything. Plus, basically the entire design team from Tubi has joined me in this. So I think we have a pretty good setup.
Well, I'm freaking thrilled. Thank you, the listener, for tuning in. If you liked it, you should say so. Comment and subscribe. I don't know if that's a thing, but I think that's a thing. I appreciate you being here, and go build better. We will see you next time.